Right. Father God, we just thank you for this new evening and committed we've never seen. Continue to bring us together. Leaders of this organization that we allow opportunities for input and engagement. Yes, we're civil rights tonight, but those that to run, those that work in their campaigns, continue to pray for the leaders of our city. This is a time of frustration, but turn you over. We know that you answer our prayers. Thank you for this evening. Give you all the glory.
Thank you. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So I'm going to do a couple of quick announcements. One, I want to first say, please keep Buddy Wall's sister-in-law in your prayers. She is struggling with cancer, and we need to uplift her as much as we can with prayers. So thank you, and for your family. We appreciate you being here and everything that you're doing. The other thing is, I just want to say, you guys are the best group of people, the absolute salt of the earth. You come together, we work together, we have a single mission. Tea Party has wants to repeal the meal tax, and we absolutely want to get the best people elected, whether it's city council, school board, and otherwise. And this is one of the most informed and engaged group of people that I have the privilege to lead, and I want to thank you all for being here. And again, I always like to give a shout out to Paula and Dan because I'm a fan. I love Paula and Dan. They're one of our biggest supporters, as you all know. We have our Tea Party Garden Party at their historic home off of Great Neck, and we couldn't be more proud and grateful to have them on our team. And so, yay! So that's just you, Larry. Anyway, I do want to welcome Rob. Thank you for coming. He's with the Virginia Beach Nationals. And I didn't have to twist his arm. He came willingly. It was great. Buddy Wall is the chair of his Civic League. He's here. Thank you, Buddy. I don't remember your name of your Civic League, but Francis A. Plaza Civic League. We've got David Serve from the John Burke Society. Thank you for being here. Are you still with the Libertarian Party? Or you are? Okay. Okay, he's the second district chair for the Libertarian Party. Dick Olnick, thank you for coming. Miss Georgia Allen and NAACP, is that correct? He's here. So what I want you to notice when I introduce people, what a menagerie of people we have. What an eclectic group. Everybody in this room cares about their community. They care about getting the right people elected, and they understand the issues, because they're not stupid. And you understand the issues that are going on. So I want to, again, thank you all for coming and for being a part of this. Oh, well, and Art, you're on the planning commission? Okay, so we have Walt here from the planning commission as well. Help us about that. So we have a very well-rounded room, and I just want you guys to know kind of folks that are coming to this. This isn't an all Republican room. It's not an all Democrat room. It's an all community room. That's what we represent here. And so I'm going to give the quickest breakdown. We're going to do this forum like we do every forum, right? Each candidate will have 3 minutes for an opening statement. They will have 1 minute to respond to any questions. Teresa Chadwick will be reading the questions. That's right here next to me. When you've done reading the questions, give to me. I'm going to make piles so that we keep count of how many questions we actually were able to ask. Since we did the last time, we had 42 questions asked in our last forum, and I think only 12 were not pertaining to what we were doing that night. So, or duplicate. So we just didn't ask those questions. 3 minutes to have closing statements. So if a candidate calls out someone here present, they get to address it. So if John said something about Chris Taylor directly and mentions his name, he gets to respond 30 seconds to anything like that. I invited every candidate. Want to be very clear about that. I invited every candidate. I do know that Elaine Fecity and that guy Jeff Brzezinski are both out of town. Elaine sends her, apologies. I got her email. Just want you to know that. And she said she's going to call me whenever she gets back in town. So I'm happy to speak with her when she returns. She's got my number. And I called the Republican chair because I know Jeff is the anointed one from the Republican Party of Virginia Beach. And I still have not been able to get Jeff's contact, but the current chair gave me the word that he was out of town. So that's all I can say. Janet, I think Georgia just told me tonight was having a campaign kickoff, but I had emailed her, the email bounced. I called her and left her a couple of messages, but she did not return my call. So it's not the only person that doesn't return calls. So I just want you to know, everybody got the invite. These are who were brave enough to show up. Remick's seat is empty, and we have a name there because he did email me that he was coming, but maybe Tuesday night shattered that illusion of him coming. So I don't know. At any rate, I'm going to turn it over. Let Ms. Henley do her thing and just pass it on down.
And I think I'm not quite sure what that is. After, what was it, Tuesday night? I'm still trying to figure out just what happened. I have to tell you that that was one of the most complicated issues I think I have ever tried to figure out in all of my time on the council. And I still haven't figured it out. But I think it was a night that told us a lot. It told us that people are very much concerned about our issues, whatever they might be. And what is so good is having people come and express their opinions and then trying to work things out. I really am still befuddled at the vote because I really didn't expect it to get approved. I thought that I had heard that they wanted time to talk things out and work on the issue, which was what my motion was, but apparently that wasn't it. I don't know, but I think that what it tells us is that we're at a very difficult time. I was answering the questions today from the Virginian pilot, and the first question was, what do you think is the biggest issue facing the city? And you know what my answer is? Trust.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the issue, and we see this from the top down with our government at all levels. And if we can't have trust and confidence, then we don't have anything. So I really hope it's something that we can all work on, wherever we come from, whatever our background is, because I think that's what we have to have if we're going to move the city forward. Virginia Beach is about the best city there is. We have so many opportunities, so many good things we can be working on. I was really looking forward to accomplishing something. I was hoping we were going to be able to get this area called the interfacility traffic area settled with some good projects that have been planned for years. But things got turned around and it got derailed. I'm hoping we can get that back on track and we can really accomplish something, because we have the opportunities in this city to do some really great things. And I look forward to being able to work on those things with you and all of our citizens, because I think we have opportunities and we shouldn't let them slip away. And thank you all for the invite tonight, and I look forward to your questions, and I'm going to pass it on to the person to my left.
Person is Arcane, Rick Wallowich. Most of you all know me, and you Probably heard me say a lot of the same things over the last 25 years. I owned RK Surf Shop for 31 years. I owned DNR Rentals, a surfboard rental business, bike rental business, Airbnb business. I build things. I build restaurants. I build schools. I build a lot of things, but more so than that, am I a builder? I'm a fixer. So when I saw what happened to the oceanfront this year, when they put a curfew down, a curfew in the middle of season, the damage, the irreparable harm that it's done to the business community and the reputation of this city, that was done by my opponent. These people are still feeling this today, but not only the businesses feeling it, all their hundreds and hundreds of employees are feeling it. They approached me, they phoned me, they asked me to run. They called me on the phone and said, run for what? I'm running to the beach. I'm not running for politics anymore. But I felt like the call came and I had to do this because I felt like I know more and can fix it. I know how to fix it. We need to be transparent. As we see, that's not going on right now. There's no transparency. That will never happen under me. Will never happen. Taxes. I support lowering the real estate mill rate when they increase the taxes so it's neutral. We're pricing our city, our citizens out of its own city, and people have been here for 40, 50, 60 years, can't afford to live here anymore. I signed a pledge to the Restaurant Association with Waverly's pledge to reduce the restaurant tax, the local side of it, down to 9.5% right now. I signed that pledge with the Restaurant Association and eventually getting it down to 0, where it's only be 6% state tax, just like retail is. Tourism. I have a way to fix this, guys. I know how to fix it. I know how it got wrong. I know how to fix it. I have a lot of friends at the oceanfront that own businesses. And we know how to fix it. It's not I in this, it's we. And there's a better way to do things. All of us enjoy our resort. One thing that's for sure, nobody that lives in Virginia Beach that pays taxes in Beach pay for any parking at that oceanfront. You've already paid it tenfold over.
Amen.
People don't know this. Just in 2 revenue streams alone, you're talking to over $1 billion. Real estate tax is about $700 million, and then you got another, excuse me, for that, it's $900 million, another $150 million of personal property. Tourism brings in $150 million a year. Somebody want to get a calculator out? You have a chance right now to do something to fix this. Somebody, a lot of people here have a lot of wisdom. We need to fix this, guys. You need to change what you're doing. You can't keep going down the same road and doing the same thing and expect a different result. I'm asking you to vote for our.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out. Chris Taylor, born and raised in Virginia Beach, native, raised my family here, children are going to school here, and I started to 4, at 9, I decided to run for mayor, and our charter required anyone's trying to step up to resign their office, and so I followed along and did resign. And I don't have any regrets doing that because you all are seeing the results of the pressures that I felt in 2024, not being able to share things with the public that I was seeing, experiencing. And as I have reflected on that decision and speaking with my family, I thought about this week, had I not made that decision, and if any of you have been in small business or just done life, unless you're 10-0 and everything, no one's perfect. Don't always win. Actually, losing is a part of success. And so when I was thinking about it this week, the decision I made, had I not resigned, I would not have been able to do the 40 because I would have been I wouldn't have even received that information. And so where are we today in Virginia Beach? We are a city that is losing population. We're a city that in District 8, where I represent it, has some of the best schools in the state, yet parents are choosing to take their kids out of public school and put them in private school. We are in a city right now where there is a lack of confidence in the ability for our city manager to manage the day-to-day functions of our city. We're at a place where we have constituents coming out and are so upset and frustrated at their government that they are cursing They are screaming, they are booing, they are heckling. How many of you that have been a part of DD politics have ever seen anything like that in our city? And so what it tells me is that people are fed up, people are concerned, people have questions. So if you see my signs in public, you're going to see accountability. So how do we hold elected officials accountable? Well, the first way we do that is by what you're doing tonight, showing up. The next is community. Look around the room. Everyone doesn't live in the same district. We don't all believe in the same faith. We don't go to the same church. But at the end of the day, we do all call Virginia Beach home, our community. We need to take that macro approach to these issues where we look at our community. And finally, what you've heard is transparency. There can be no trust without transparency. And I will bring transparency back to City Council. Thank you.
Well, good evening. And it is a good evening. It's interesting as we celebrated our 250th anniversary declaration. And we've got a city council that has more in common with King George than Patrick Henry. And that's sad, because really, when the chamber, when the Board of Realtors asked me why I was running, I said, because we have the worst city council this city has ever had in terms of competence, in terms of integrity, and certainly you can't trust them. And who would hire them to be your financial manager? Over the last 4 years, they've had over $150 million in budget surpluses each and every year, greater than $150 million. After setting those money aside for the rainy day fund, between $90 and $100 million each year, surplus means excess taxation. And they have spent every single penny of that. And on top of that, they have raised the real estate tax rate every year from the revenue neutral rate back to 97 cents to harvest between $55 and $35 million each year spending. And every single council member that's on there today during their term has voted for every one of those tax increases, has voted for every, not to give you any surplus. And then they try to take credit for giving you car tax relief. All they did was redistribute the money coming from the General Assembly as part of the car tax. They didn't reduce the revenue coming to the city 1 penny. They have money for everybody who's a special interest, but for residents. Trust is a big issue, but people are financially on edge. Tax relief is a necessity, and that budget is bloated. And why 11 members of city council would vote to extend the city manager's contract and give the city manager and the city attorney a raise the same night they voted on that the 1st of July when they had the first vote on the golf course to defer it. Why would you give someone a raise, a city manager and city attorney who kept you in the dark? Maybe they weren't in the dark so much. You want a council you can trust. You want a council that knows the difference between integrity and deception. And you know people who pay attention when you speak, not look at their phone, look up to their peers, and can't wait to be rude up here. That was last time was political bullying by the mayor, and not one member, 9 other members stood up for the integrity of that institution. They were laid back, and they're just as guilty as the mayor, and they don't deserve to be called the honorable. They don't deserve to speak for in. You elect John Moss at www.mossforcouncil.org. You can see more. On Tuesday, November 3rd, John Moss. Thank you.
So the first question is for everyone, and I'm going to start down here. What are your specific policy plans to cut spending? It's awfully hard to say what policies you're going to have for a specific issue unless you have some time to do some background work and advance people are treating. spending is making certain that we are spending those things, spending the money in fashion that is important. And that's very hard to determine with different people needing different things. I think what we have to do is come up with better ways of getting the information from our people. I'm a real advocate of asking that citizens be the first thing that we address when we are developing a plan. That we don't wait until the end of a plan and then take it to our public in a public hearing and say, is this what you want? But that we need to go to our public first. So that's what I think we need to do with this question. What do you think those policies should be? And then we take that information after we have gotten the input from our citizens, and then we develop our policies and plans to bring that to the city. I think if we change the way that we are operating right now, the citizens need to be the first stop. And we find out what our citizens want, and then we develop the plans and the policies. And I have been advocating that for a while, and I'm more and more convinced that's what we need to do. And so that would be my policy, that we change our direction and put going to our citizens as the first step when we're developing a new plan. And we can start with this one.
City doesn't have a revenue problem, it has a spending problem. They're involved in deals they should never be involved in. The deals that are never gonna make money, are gonna suck our taxes up high. That's the problem, everybody. And I've asked this question every meeting I've been at. How much waste, fraud, and abuse do you think we have in a $2.9 million budget? And I said, let's start at 10%. And then the crowd goes, more. Well, the 10% is $290 million. Just say it's 5%, it's $145 million. That's $600 billion in 4-year term, that, sir. You can fix a lot of things with that money. Stop spending on money on things that will not work. Who's making these deals? Golf course is a perfect example of that. A first grader can make a better deal than that. Everybody knows the taxes are gonna go up. How about my opponent wanted to bring light rail back? What do you think that's gonna cost? Billions of dollars. How about collective bargaining? You know what that's gonna do to your taxes? It's gonna bring it back. Let's stop wasting our money and start cutting. And all you gotta do is do a little homework and work a little hard. We're saving you money. We're elected to save you money, not spend your money. Spend your money wisely. At this time, people are struggling out here. We need to be cutting taxes, and that's my pledge to everybody in this room. I'm gonna find a way to cut taxes, get rid of the fraud and abuse, and make business better. And guess what's gonna do that? That meals tax is gonna generate more money, and we're gonna save taxes right off the bat. And that's why you should vote for our.
The senior council. Margaret. Saving, cutting. Set up, gave council time to ask questions, look at what the manager was proposing, because in city manager form of government, which you all are right, has advantages and weaknesses. We're presented a budget. We need the citizens to demand that their council get involved in the budget. And when you're presenting a huge document that's $3 billion, you start talking about a penny here and a penny there. As you've seen previously, when the manager comes back to council, he presents this scary list. Teachers first, we're gonna cut arts, cut EMS. It's always the most radical cuts. And if we had 6 people on council that could study the budget, understand where there are opportunities. For instance, once we enact vote on that budget, we should not be going into the pot and spending 20, 30, 40, 50, 70, 80, $90, $100 million. And each year I was on council, we would go for the budget, and then someone would come $175,000. This year, they're almost getting $650,000. You don't spending. You look at Atlantic Park. I brought that out in terms of arsenic. I spent time working at DuPont earlier in my career. I called one of my former colleagues and said, this is what's going on. They said, whatever number they tell you, multiply it times 10. Do you remember when we had the arsenic issue? They said it's going to be about $2 million to fix. Well, in the end, we ended up doing the mediation. We haven't given you any information about that. We've given them $3 million in cash, 2 parcels of land. That's about $8 or $9 million. The DuPont expert was pretty accurate. So we don't we're not addressing problems proactively. It's always reactive. And when you are addressing issues at home in your budget reactively, it typically costs you what? More time, more resources, more energy. So I'm willing to stand up to cut things. Right now, I don't think the issue is cutting, it's balancing. Right now, we are out of balance. Thank
All 6 budget details that were all balanced and had tax relief in them. I can tell you, it isn't a plan we need, it is doing homework by the council members is what you need. And the plan is just a talk. Let me just tell you some specific things. We 100% budget all the positions as if they're filled every year, and they're not. And that generates around $26 to $30 million of overtaxing that they spend at the end of the year. They don't tell you that the school board under-executed their budget last year by $45 million. And then in December of last year, they reappropriated all of it back. Now, you don't think long hard. If you're ending every year with a surplus of $150 million, the first thing you say is the first person who has the right tax relief is the citizens, and you put compression on the bureaucracy. And I manage $22 billion submarine fund. I know a little bit about numbers. I also know about bureaucratic culture that has an insatiable appetite and gives you gold watch choices. And when they do that, what do? You fire those people because they're not helping you solve the problem. Because if you can't afford to pay more taxes, it doesn't make a difference to how much services they have, because you're supposed to further go into debt and cut necessities more at home so the city can insulate itself from the economic strife you're under. No, the city has to feel the same economic pain that the residents are feeling and making the very same hard choices. You can't ask the bureaucracy to do that. It's not their culture. The council has to decide the risk they want to take. They need to communicate those risks to the public and see what the feedback is. But the bureaucracy is never going to help you cut their food. But they have to go on a diet because families and businesses are on a diet. And it's not a plan. If you want to listen to them, they'll tell you we need tax relief. I got the message. Isn't quality of services is more important than their quality of life. There's got to be a balance. The balance is in the wrong direction. City has more opportunity to cut. Council members have to tell the city manager where those cuts have to be made. They need to take responsibility for those cuts. If the manager can't do it, get a new manager.
Amen.
Thank you. If you can find roughly $90 million, $69 million, I do it at one time. I think you probably can. I'd rather give a balance of meal tax relief and real estate tax relief and phase it out over a 3-year period because different people benefit from different tax relief. People that don't have much discretionary income aren't eating out. So you gotta look at, but they are either paying rent or they got a home. So the real estate tax provides relief. I would phase it out over 3 years and more aggressively, but I wouldn't want to provide tax cuts across the spectrum so that everyone who's affected in a different way could get relief.
Again, I'm going. Given that. High. This revenue to get. So maybe shot by that. Do it. Council, I was one of the ones that led the negotiations to your property tax account. And what I saw was as we were started seeing some of the back deals, we started seeing a little, fidgety, and you saw a council member come out and say, well, what if we did 2 cents? And so you were able to see a 2-cent reduction, but there was a lot of friction there. And so one thing you need to do is understand what district you live in and the impact your meals tax makes. In District 8, our meals taxes are roughly flat over the last 3 years, given inflation. 2023 was $150 million in F&B. Last year was about $154 million. So 5.5% of that up until July 1st of this year was several $1 million. The increase effective July 1st on District 8 residents for the meals tax is going to be about $700,000 in additional tax. So the question before we go, are we going to eliminate all this? What is that $700,000 going to? If we eliminate it and now we are short here or short there, that's not going to make it happen. So I can commit to supporting a reduction, but you as citizens have the ability to tell those that you elect what you want that number to be, and then it's our duty to work together. If it's 3 cents off, that's going to be roughly 8, 16, $24 million. We have to go find $24 million. We don't just get to cut it. And so that's where being engaged, being informed, and being in communication with those that are leading you will be helpful, because if you have the right people and you come to us and say, this is what we need, and we're going to sacrifice over here, then we can communicate to the city manager to take those directions. What staff does, they take direction from the city council, they use their professional administration skills to get to where the answer we need to be. But to just say we're going to cut $50 million out of a budget that's just been approved, I don't think it's prudent, and I don't think it's necessary. So I'm willing to go down, but I don't think we can.
I signed a thing with the Restaurant Association. I don't know if they all agree with this. We cut 2.5%, take it down 9.5%, 6% on the state side, 3.5% on the city side. You will see what they're going to prove. They're going to prove that the revenues are going to go up because people are going to spend more money. That means they're going to pay more taxes. And then the employees are going to make more money, so they're going to spend more money. The business people are going to have more money pockets, they're going to spend more money. So what's going to happen is your revenue streams are going to go up. But I want you to think about this. 1.8 million people will live within about an hour of us. There's another 4 to 6 million people will live within 4 to 6 hours of us. That's day trip business. It's not coming here right now. When you start doing things like this, you're going to drive that business back to the municipal fund. You're going to pay more taxes. There'll be more taxes in the coffers. And that's what you got to do. That's good business. That's what you have to do. You have to be aggressive to go after the business, but you don't do it by raising taxes. You do it by lowering taxes.
I think your question was if I would approve to take away the wheel tax completely at one point. That would be extremely difficult to do. But I do, and I don't remember which year it was maybe year before last, the last meal tax increase occurred. I voted against it. I was the only council member who did. But I think what we've been doing is raising that tax when we shouldn't. It'd be very hard to get rid of all of it at one time because we're very dependent on taxes if we're going to provide services. It needs to be phased in, determine how much we're going to be able to reduce, be able to eliminate whatever we're agreeable with eliminating, and then do it in a phased approach.
These two questions are pretty much very similar, and they deal with the development authority, BCA. And what changes Virginia Development Authority enacted? And do you feel that BBDA should be removed and not?
The Virginia Beach Development Authority has become very powerful. I don't know how it managed to do that, but it certainly has. And you have a lot of people asking questions now. Who are these people and how did they get so much power? Well, they are an appointed body. They're appointed by the city council, and their role is to help create economic development in the city. But unfortunately, something has happened over the last couple of years that has given this particular group much more authority than I think it was ever intended to be. And we are hearing a lot of complaints from folks saying, how did the development authority get this much authority? They are an authority. They do have a lot of ability to do things that even the council can't do. That's why we convey property to them, because they can do things in such a fashion, because they are economic development authority. I think we really have to look at this whole situation from top to bottom and see what changes can be made, because something is definitely a filter with this group.
Great question. If you all elect individuals to sit on city council, they have to fill commission. You all get to provide feedback if you support people that were putting on those board commissions. While on council, what I realized that there was a significant amount of power in the role of the vice mayor. And if you don't know that vice mayor, her role, she manages the boards and commissions appoint and process on council. And so what I began to see was I would nominate someone qualified, and all of a sudden there'd be another person pop up in the talent bank, and you get 6 people to go in that direction. So you all have to tell us what is the profile of the people you would like to see on the development authority if you want that to stay in place. And then we, as your elected officials, can go and begin to recruit and bring those people into the development authority that won't have a conflict of interest. They'll be down there to serve your interests. You all have the power. You just
Well, I'm lost again, I've WWW. But first of all, I never voted to give them land. Never. That's one of their powers, and council did it because they can award contracts all sorts without competition, without transparency. So it's useless. There's no accountability. Number one, I wouldn't give them any, I wouldn't vote and hope I'd have 4 friends or 6 friends who wouldn't either. I would ask them to return the title to all land that they legally could. I would cap the current memorandum of agreement we have to pay the interest on debt that they issued. I would issue no more debt through that organization, and every debt I would issue other than revenue bonds would be general obligation bonds, and you would get a chance to vote on all borrowing that was in excess of our charter limit, and we would cease using the development authority to circumvent the voters' ability to control the city's debt.
I've been talking about this for a long time. This belongs to you. How do we give it away? How do we give it away to somebody who doesn't have the authority? You have to be elected, duly elected, to spend money over $500 to buy property. Debt. The conflict of interest of 35% in Virginia says the reasonable likelihood that the office I'm not doing it all. Hey, this one, a little bit about conflicts of interest, and he's a top-down full audit of that authority. And we need to, when I mean a top-down, all the way through full audit to tell everybody what the hell has been going on. Because I think when you find out, you're going to get mad like you were on Tuesday.
So this question pertains to our county territory. How will you solve the problem at the beach of people smoking hot tobacco where the public goes as such, and on 24th Street there's part of the
City of Virginia Beach has a budget of 800 police officers. In the last 20 years, we've been 100 police officers short. We're 100 police officers short right now. Those 100 positions have been fully funded for all those years. Where's the money? So I'm going to propose to fix this problem because we have a serious problem in this country called crime, dangerous crime. We enacted a curfew. We're supposed to be the same city of our size, and we enacted a curfew. Are you serious? I'm gonna propose to hire additional 250 police officers. Make our staff go up to 1,050. For a city of our size and population, we probably need 1,200. That's how you're gonna stop it. You can't have a resort city where you can smell marijuana from Pacific Avenue to Atlantic Avenue in blind air, not even in the building. Who's not doing their job? You have to set the precedent. Come to Virginia Beach, respect our businesses, respect our people, respect our laws, respect our police officers. If you don't, you're gonna pay a price, and that's how you're gonna fix each of the resorts and get it back to where it once was.
Next question is directed for Barbara. If the city council fund a $15 million discretionary account, mayor and
I don't believe there is such a slush fund. If anybody knows something otherwise, I'll look into it, but we don't have such an account as a slush fund. Whoever made this proposal, let me know, and I'll ask that question tomorrow and see what the basis is. We don't have a slush fund. We have discretionary funding, which of course is more than one person that has to determine how that's spent. So I know that spending is an important issue with everybody. And I think it's something that we have to look very carefully at what we are spending money on. And that is the issue. And where it comes from and how it goes is another part of it. But if you have particular questions, I'll be glad to try to find the answers for you if you'll just give them to me after the meeting.
gonna start down here, John Ross, for everybody. If elected, or re-elected with President and Barbara, will you sign an NDA form on council business if it is requested?
Personally, I don't believe the city council has the right to sign away a non-disclosure agreement. Covers things that they can't legally do a non-disclosure act for, which is what happened with the golf course. Non-disclosure means you can't share proprietary financial information, not that you can hide providing 8 primary documents and 6 secondary documents, but only to Drinkus Corporation, and then the city helps them prepare their unsolicited proposal, which was a partnership. No, but all non-disclosure agreements should be voted on by the council and public authorizing the manager to sign it. In this case, since that didn't happen, and the city attorney kept it a secret, they both should have been fired. They weren't, because a majority of the city council must have behind the scenes been in on it.
So while on council, we were never. Something that's similar to closed session. And so you don't hear us talk about it at all. We have the ability to reduce the amount of items that we're taking in closed session. By show of hands, anyone here, your city council tell you that they have 8 closed session meetings about BB National. You are included in how many of those?
None.
Zero. And so we don't see that many NDAs. Week after week, when you see the agenda, see closed session. The RC negotiate both place in closed session. If they ask you how to parcel the land that they want, that you want them to get away from you, how much is it out? Absolutely not. So we need to limit the amount of information that's in closed session. Deals taking place. Once an unsolicited proposal comes to council, we need to decide if we want to engage that proposal or we do not. At that point, we should have the freedom to come out to the public and let them know what is coming before us.
NDAs for public property. Seriously? How can somebody, the city attorney, the city manager, doesn't have the authority to go to NDA unless the council says they can? I called every one of the council members, only 4 called me back, Barbara Wood called me back. We had a long conversation about that. Nobody gave them the authority to do that. In government, you have to have authority to do something. You have to have it. We have a constitution. It says it in there, what you can and can't do if you're not elected. So horrible, horrible things. It can't be done, nor would I go along with it. When I was doing like that all along the way, you have the right to know who you're dealing with, where you're getting your money from, and if they can make the full commitment to the deal they're trying to cut. I would cut a deal, any deal I cut would be for the betterment of this community, and will be fully transparent, or I won't be cutting it. By the way, I got a big mouth, and try to take the microphone out of my hand like the right to the press and tell you what's going on, because you deserve to know it's your money, it's your future, it's future, it shouldn't be happening.
Like the back question, dealt with closed sessions of city council. City council closed sessions are allowed for certain purposes. And I've been asking questions lately about our closed sessions because it is giving me some concern. We have to vote to go into closed sessions. We're told generally what the topic is going to be, whether it's a contract purchase or the sale of land. There are only certain things that council can discuss in closed session. But when we go in closed session, I don't know what it's going to be about. I don't have any opportunity to have any background work done. Most of the presentation is oral. Perhaps it might be by a slide. So I think our closed sessions have gotten to be cumbersome and maybe not what they should be. Also, I'm noticing now that we are having sort of a tag name for our closed sessions, which maybe are cute, but it doesn't tell the public what the session is about. I think closed sessions of city council have to occur because we can't discuss certain things like personnel issues publicly. That would not be fair to the people. But as long as we're very careful, that we're very specific about sticking to what is allowed and doing it in such a fashion that it can be effective, I am very concerned that our closed sessions have gotten out of hand, and it's something that I am asking questions about now. I can expect to continue to ask questions, and I hope maybe that we can do something to bring in a little closer just what is done in closed session. And it has to be in such a fashion that we can be effective with it. Right now, it's not.
You oppose subsidies, tax breaks, grants, performance grants even, to private businesses and developers, arguing that the government should be picking winners and losers and that the free market decides. Yes or no? Yes.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes.
That's the best answer yet.
I'm gonna start asking Ron. Should members of council be required to hold an ethical guideline for certification?
Well, maybe they should all get trained on what the law requires. It's certainly true. But you all should be looking at all the council members that are serving, or maybe myself who served in the past, and ask, would training help them? Really, in the end, you're the employer. People should not forget, you are the employer. You are that thing. But I think council should adopt a conflict of interest ordinance, if you receive more than $250 from anyone during your campaign or once you're on, you are required to recuse yourself. And the Supreme Court has ruled that cities and localities can adopt stricter conflict of interest laws. You cut off the money benefit.
Yeah.
How much money goes to school boards? Very little from these people, because they can't do much to enrich them. How much money is in it? They have to recuse themselves. How many $15,000 these different groups will be giving to candidates when they won't be able to vote on this stuff?
Exactly.
I would support that, bringing it, ethical, music, subject. Ethics are to value.
Yeah.
So I now trust. I received a check from Mike Sykes, wasn't a lot, maybe $1,000, $1,500. His project came to work council, I training, development, up in the screen, teaching ethics. I abstained from the vote. He already had support. He was trying to put one home, 1 acre, according to the comp plan in Barbara's district. I didn't go behind Barbara's back, work with my excitement. That was a big plan. She was supportive of it. It did comp plan. I recused myself. I got to build this one home, 15 homes. I mean, one home per acre. And so we could do all the trainings. This time you saw Tuesday night, someone literally stood in front of the council and listed the names of people that have received tens of thousands of dollars. Would an ethics training have changed their decision?
No.
And so you have to get to the point where ethics are professional and personal. You put people on council that value a personal ethic, then you'll be trustworthy.
Virginia Code section, state law, conflict of interest section says, a reasonable likelihood that your office can influence. That is a very minimal standard. That means anything looks like a duck, quacks like a duck is a duck. But I want to, and I agree with Mr. Moss, we need to have a stronger conflict of interest ordinance and put severe consequences if you violate it. You want to stop it? Make the consequences so severe that you don't want to do it. When I got to let this meeting today, I got a letter from a conflict of interest question I asked for Worth Remington in 3.5 years is 14. That's round one. I got round two coming. Conflicts of interest. Collier Group. Are you kidding me? He works for Collier Group.
Conflict of interest is something that we all understand today. I'm not sure how we deal with that in a broad issue, but it does have individuals an awful lot. I don't think I've faced that issue too much, because I don't get those big contributions, which is okay. I have to tell you folks, I'm a little thrifty. When you see my signs around, it's because they're all, I've got them now added because they're all used from my prior campaigns, with people bringing them back to me. So for the past couple of weeks, I've been spending over my time washing signs because they're being reused. I think we just have to learn that we're going to do with the city government the way we do with our own business, with our own affairs. And you can look at a person and tell how they operate, and that would tell you how they're going to do if they're on the city council.
Other, this looks like another yes or no question from John. Are you in favor of union control or government collective bargaining?
No.
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 Yes.
question, we'll start with Barbara and then we'll go to Chris. On transparency, no matter how you vote, spend or not, will you promise to let the public know what's going on way ahead and predetermined outcomes?
I've had multiple town halls, and of course, it's your money. I would be more comfortable with your money than I have my own. I run my budgets right on my campaign. I got money in the bank. People said, Rick, go buy this, go buy that. I said, why would I do that? Why would I do that? Why would I spend your money that way? I'm not gonna do that. It's your money. I'm gonna watch over it. I'm gonna have the mic in my hand. I'm gonna tell you all about it. You tell me to shut up and sit down.
Yes. Again, that's sort of independent upon the work city manager. Last situation, you actually saw your professional administrative staff had access to information, not equally share that information, which discredits not only the staff, but then it prevents interest constituents from being able to chime in and give your opinion. So imagine if 9 months ago, the professional administrative staff, founded by Virginia, told her in one of the companies, hey, we're looking at stuff, 350 acres, about $36,000, GMO improves, you would have had an opportunity to come to her decisions. If that person having to do that, what you saw too, then I could, a lot of people showing up last night. So yes, I'll do that. I did that while on council, and I'm doing it.
I've had a, don't know anybody. So, when I think they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars getting you off, because when the city attorney said that you're not disclosing on, I said, great, disclose, and I did, because it is your option to disclose. You are not controlled by the city attorney or the city manager or any of your peers. You're accountable for it, but it is your right, but I'm like, no. So I've always done that. More importantly, when they give these briefings, maybe 30% of it is actually covered by the law of exempt. I would always ask for redacted copies, so I could take pictures of them and put them on Facebook, so people could see the brief, absent the stuff that was truly not covered, exempt by FOIA. They do it all the time. They stopped even giving out the pictures, the slides, because once I have it, it's my property, my city treasurer. So then I took my phone and took pictures of it.
I try to make certain that I have told my constituents everything that I can tell them that they seem to need to know. And for that reason, I have a monthly forum, and have had a monthly forum for 30 years, on the fourth Thursday of every month. When people are invited to come, you don't have to be a person from District 2, you can be from any place. And I try to tell everybody what's going on and answer questions about what's happening. I think, again, keeping our people informed is one of the most important things we can do. And telling people what's going on is important, but it's also important for you as citizens to try to make that effort to find out. And I think that I have, but I did find out one thing that does give me some difficulty. And again, as I've told you before, I've been real concerned about closed sessions. If council has information that we have been given in a closed session, we cannot disclose it, or we are in violation of the law. And that gets to be a bit of an issue. And I think for that reason, I'm asking that we modify what comes to council in closed session a lot more. As a matter of fact, I found out during the time that some of these things were going on, that I felt so concerned that I didn't inadvertently disclose some information from a closed session that I would then be liable for. I got the city attorney to come to my forum and give the information so that it had to be right. So I really try to make sure that I'm informing people with everything that I possibly can. And all of you can come to our district forums the fourth Thursday of every month, 5:15, Building 19. You're all welcome.
So this is an issue that's come up in the last couple of meetings. What really did happen to contaminated soil removed from the wave pool site? Dump trucks hauled it away in a few days, not far away. Did the state regulators know?
I don't know the answer to that question. I know it's certainly an issue. I can ask that question and do the best I can to give you an answer. Whoever asks it will let me know afterwards. I will try to find it.
I can speak to that. I was on council, actually, addressed the issue with city manager, mayor of the auction. Actually, a resident that was gone on a walk and their dog and was going down to the water down by the lake. It's like right over there, in 16th, 17th Street. It was brown and orange, and they called in the state level. So I got wind of it. District rep at the time didn't have wind of it. Brought it to the manager's attention, so I brought it to the attention. And I began seeing Stonewall. And so what I did was demanded that get me the DEQ reports, which I had an inbox filled with, but he never presented that to our council. So we never had any discussion, Barbara, about what was happening, where it was going, because at that point they had said, oh, it's the developer's responsibility, and we were in closed session discussing it. So to Barbara's point, some of us felt we couldn't bring it to you, but we don't know where they took it, how they took it. All we knew was they kept coming back and asking for money to deal with this. And by the time it came out and closed, you all were fortunate to have given away 2 expensive parcels of $3 million. So the issue that you're going to continue to see is the use of closed session law.
Well, there is this tells you why the city council should never have voted, and I didn't give all that land to the development authority. Because this development authority, not the city, was the owner of the land. And under the Superfund law of the Congress, the landowner is responsible first and foremost for all contamination, not the leasees. So the developers weren't responsible for the cost of remediation. The development authority was responsible. They're the one that did a settlement. They owned the parcels they gave away. The city council had no say over that at all. But the city did have to provide the $3 million. The development authority has no money. And I can understand why they didn't want to go out and tell all that. The settlement was disclosable, but they didn't tell you why. No one lost their job. Everyone got a pay raise. Everyone patted themselves on the back. No one asked the development authority to resign because they incompetently did a lease before they had done their own soil boring and stuff on the property. But because they can pass the buck to us, negligent runs free, and so negligent continues to happen. I wasn't on council, but I should have told you. But I shouldn't. Where's some of you? When they tell me it's in my district, I should have known. I'm not far away from there. It's contaminated water, everybody should have known. They didn't know. Why not? They knew why, because they knew they were using a lot of money. They knew they never should have done it, and they knew it's not a favorable deal for the city. They knew people were pissed about it, and that's the truth.
So the next question is, I know you have done this, but I want you to speak to your experience. Have you ever run a business and run the books? So I'm going to start.
Our
What is
business.
this on the book?
Since 1983. Construction, retail, rental, building, build my own buildings, understand how to do it. And I always came in under budget and never got a subsidy. But I asked for a subsidy, didn't need a subsidy, because I wouldn't do it. Why would you need a subsidy to do something you know is not gonna work, and somebody's gonna pay for you? We call it OPM, other people's money. And that's what these developers, they're using the city of Beach as a bank, taking the money, knowing they don't have to pay that, knowing they can get more. Let's just budget start, I'm gonna build a house for you, I'm gonna pay you $100,000. The next week's $110,000, the week after it's $150,000, and I made another mistake, it's another $50,000. You go back to the history of all these deals, you'll see that same pattern all the way through, just like you see in the golf course. And I'm so glad that Chris Taylor put that up, so
Yes.
people finally could see how it's working.
Yeah.
You said my name. That's stabilized. That is the message I have for us in the city. We need to stabilize our books. We need to look at what is coming in, what is going out, and if we need to shut a few stores down, then that's what we need to do because it would be better for my children, it would be better for your grandchildren, for your children. Right now, we don't even have the discussion of shut it down or keep going. We just keep spending. That's not what you do in small business. You have 100, you spend hopefully 85. You don't spend 102.
Well, I can't say, that we're in a business, like everybody else is in, and I got $22 billion asset of money for the submarine force for 20-something years. And executed 3 bribe moves, that's no fun. I have had to not be the sole person, no one ever does anything by themselves. And decommission submarines so you can buy future submarines, these are risk taking. So military is all about taking risk. But what you do learn is what you never learn in business, is what it takes to overcome the inertia of bureaucracy. And that is what you learn when you work in the Pentagon, and you're dealing with all the people who say, ships aren't gonna leave the pier, the world's gonna end, and you don't have enough money. You know how to compress, you know how to make choices, and you know how to get the budget balanced, which is no new money. So I have experience dealing with governmental bureaucracies, and that culture has been very effective.
Yes, we do have a business, it's called Henley Farm, and all of our bills are paid.
What do you plan to do about all the human trafficking and sex trafficking on the upper or in the city? For a lot of the upper class folks, it's hush hush, but we don't know it exists.
351 police officers. That's the only way to fix this, guys. Can't walk out there and throw money at it, pretend like it's gonna go away. Hey, guys, start doing that. Okay, we won't. Really? That's the problem. You need to have strict enforcement, you need police officers, you need back police officers as well. I'm talking to many of them. They want to make sure they're there, but they want to know that we, the council people, will have their back. If I'm elected, I'll have their back, and I'll get these police officers here. They'll be priority #1 for me. Safe city, good business, which we want. We want that. We want to be known as the safest, most fun resort city on the East Coast. And I got them.
That's a great point. Much of that is happening around. I think that is. Very good. issue on itself because, again, the cops are having trouble, handling these pop-ups. We don't know if going in the van with the dark windows, have insight to that. So that is an intergovernmental, issue. It's something we can address in the region, but that's not something the city council can do.
Again, mossforcouncil.org. But, it is interagency, but one thing's important, we want to increase the police force, we can't do it as a burden at growth facility. You're going to have to be able to have much higher throughput, train the people, and the city has had, what, $150 million over 4 years? $600 million? Did that go to our number one priority, which is public safety? We could already have that academy, but we can't even hire more officers in the replacement through the current facility. The council's known that. Once again, it starts with N and ends with the E. It's negligence. You have the wrong priorities, you had the right amount of money, and you chose to fund other stuff. That's about rebalancing the budget, and the incumbents have not done that, but we do need more officers, but we need that new facility.
If maybe this is all the question, I'm not sure, but we really have difficulty hiring people, police officers these days. Because people don't want to be police officers these days. And just being able to get people who are willing to do the job is an issue. I think that, our police officers, as we see along the street, need to be very, very thankful that they're there. We had the event last week, the National Night Out, we had the opportunity from our neighborhoods, some of you maybe did it, to come out and support your police officers, and show them how much you support them. We need to do more of that, because they've got a tough job, and they are not the most popular people on the block. And so I think we have to be very grateful to those people who are willing to wear that uniform and get out there and do what they have to do to protect us. Because it's not a popular job these days, and I think we want to make sure we keep all of them in that regard.
And we're gonna have one final question. And we'll start with John and work our way down. What do you think are the top 3 functions of the city?
Public safety narrowly defined as job one. You can't exercise your liberties without public safety. Education, because that's in the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia, is a core function of local government. And 3, restrain spending so that people have money, so they have freedom to exercise their liberties, so they have money. Those are the core functions of great government.
But public safety, I agree. Number 3, stewardship of your trust, stewardship of resources, really stewardship of interest. And without elected officials that put the public interest first, you're not going to have efforts to have a strong public safety, strong. You have to have individuals that understand that in a democratic society, in a council manager form of government, you all are at the top of hierarchy. So it's what you think are the priorities. Once we're safe, we're the safest city, right? That's what we keep hearing. Our schools are the best. That's what we keep hearing. Well, what's lacking right now? Stewardship of your resources, stewardship of your trust, and people that are putting your interests first. Those are my top 3.
Public safety, number one, we got a problem. We need to fix that. Education always. Fiscal responsibility. That's how you do things. That's the freedom process. Government backing up all the little businesses. Small businesses are the backbone of this country. 70 to 75% of all jobs are created there. When you pick winners and losers, and you get involved in bad deals, while these winners that are getting paid get wealthier, while we get poorer because our taxes keep going up. Fiscal responsibility. You get a chance to pick that. you get a chance this time to go, are they doing a good job? Or is it time for change? The people have been in business for 43 years and have to be responsible, they have to pay its bills, they have to pay its employees, who went through tough times and knows how to do it. That's how you'll see me govern with that kind of care with your money.
Of course, public safety, I think is probably where our our first responders for police, fire, rescue, we have to remember all of them. We just wouldn't have a very good, safe city without them, and I think we have to be very appreciative of them. Of course, education is extremely important, and then we have all of these other things that we have listed as things that we are responsible for. But we're responsible for, I think, as someone said, stewardship of our area is extremely important for all of us, because if we don't have a good area to live in, we're not going to have a very good city. And I think Virginia Beach has one of the best areas in the world, and we have to be very careful that we're taking care of it, because without the care that it needs, we wouldn't have the city that we do have. And I appreciate all of you do to help us make sure that we're taking care of our city in the fashion that we deserve and that we need. Thank you very much.
Now we're going to get our closing remarks, why we should council, and then start the rotation is going to be Chris Taylor, RK, Barbara, and then John.
Thank you. Wonderful forum tonight. We have a lot of choices in there. We have 6 of them. I don't know how the District 8 would have a choice to make. You have to make a choice between someone that has promised to cut taxes yet has been on a spending spree. You have to make a choice between someone that will shut down our oceanfront illegally and have to have a judge tell them that's not right, or someone that will do their due diligence, ask the right questions so that we don't have to keep the redos. You're going to have someone that's from the district, that believes in the district, spending their time in the district, raising their family in the district. And I'm asking for your support because we have to go in a new direction. This council has had 2 years, some of them 4, to show you what they stand for. On Tuesday night, you have council that invited you out to the chamber, invited you out for 3 hours, allowed you to express yourself, and then ignored everything you said. My record on council was I would listen, I would engage, and even if I disagreed or voted against something, I at least told you why I did. They won't even answer your question. Vote for Christian.
Well, this is one of many job interviews. So I'll say it one more time, www.council.org. I'm running in District 9. There couldn't be a clearer choice. Someone who actively listens, someone who realizes his role is to represent the community, not to substitute his judgment or his relationship with special interests to override public interest. Someone who has a past record of being fiscally responsible and also knowing how to implement those ideas. But what's important for the voters in all these districts is to vote for someone other than the incumbent. Okay, time. Vote for a fresh face, because these people have proved they're not competent, worthy, or merit being reelected. And I'm running to not just transparency, but to really restore trust and to restore a city council that's not an embarrassment. In the celebration of our 250th celebration of Declaration of Independence, these people couldn't be further from the values and principles of this nation's founding than the group that we now have. And I would ask for your vote for John Lawson for tonight. On the third and Friday. Thank you so much.
Don't listen to John Lawson. think you have to do everything individually, independently, make that choice. I am running again, even though I thought I would not. But we're at a position here in District Two that we're going to be making decisions that are going to depend, that are going to decide the future. And we're going to be making decisions like the one that we looked at Tuesday night with what we do with what we have here. The decisions that we make with land use are critical at this point. Are we going to continue to do some of what has been done along this corridor that wasn't supposed to have been done, but that has been developed in the name of light industrial, when it's anything but light industrial? And when we take our property and we turn it into something that is going to flood, we know it's going to flood, but we're going to do it anyway, like building 659 houses where we know it's going to flood. We're not making good decisions. Our district, this district, is extremely important from the standpoint of what it is, from the standpoint of the land that's here. This land, where we are right now, historically, because I'm a history nut, in the 1600s was all swamps. And because of this area has that type of dirt at the bottom, it's not going to drain well. So are we really going to continue to put these monstrosity buildings up in structures on land that is not suitable for this? If we don't start paying attention to what we're doing with our land, we're going to ruin everything. And this corridor is really at a point that if we make bad decisions, like the one that came out Tuesday night, and we develop this in an area that is not suitable for what we're putting here, we're going to have something that we're just not going to be able to. I really worry about it. I think our land use decisions are going to be critical in this area for the next few years. What we have is what we call the interfacility traffic area, which is that flyover between Oceana and Pinterest. We promised the Navy that we were not going to put residential here, but in this little 42 acres that just is barely over the acres line, we're going to put 659 houses there and pretend it's not going to get jet noise. It's going to get just as much jet noise as it gets on the other side, or at least almost as much. And so I think we have got some decisions that are facing this district that are going to be critical. And that's why I had to make this decision that have I wasted all of these years trying to make this area continue to be agricultural and as we want it to be, or am I going to step aside and let it go kaflooey? I'm here because I'm really committed to making this area what we want it to be. And I make that promise to you that I'm going to do everything I possibly can to do the right thing. And I hope that I have that opportunity. Thank you.
I won't have an extended 30 seconds. I'm just gonna mention Elaine's name because she's not here, she can't get anything. But I think after 40 plus years of second district representation, the district two needs fresh energy, fresh perspective in that job.
It's just not appropriate in the closing argument. It's not
She
appropriate.
mentioned my name.
It's in the closing argument, not in the. It's in the closing argument.
Well, I just disagree with Barbara's assessment.
Right, it's okay. And Barbara still stands by what she said. Okay.
23 years of successful business, diverse business, retail, building, rental, restaurants. That's what you need. Nobody else has that. You don't have to tell me how to build something, how to drop down. I know how to do it. I know how to get the cost down. My opponent, he wants light rail to come out. He wants collective bargaining. He wants to raise your taxes. He'll shut your ocean front down. RK would never do that. I'll be accountable. If you need me, call me. If you want me to speak, I'll speak.
Take my call.
All the time. But that's the difference. Let me give you this. Although I'm running for District 6, I have the same power in every single district in the city as every council person has a power in my district. This is on you guys. You have a choice now to help all the districts because they can affect you. And Barbara can tell you stories about that right now. We don't want to do that anymore. We don't want to do that anymore. And I promise you this. If you vote for me this time to get me in there, you'll vote for me for every time you see my name on the ballot to do your work. It's your turn. It's your turn. And I'm going to leave with this. For the people's way. Vote RK.
My brother used to play football there in the fall on Saturday mornings. That's how it was.
Thank you. Thank you, Teresa Chadwick, for reading those questions. I always really love something. You do a great job. And I tallied them up. I want to say we had 20 questions. We had 10 questions that we did not answer, did not get to ask. And we had 12 repetitive questions. So just, I kept the tabulation over there for 20. The majority of the questions were asked, only 10 did not get asked, and 12 were